Hey everyone, and welcome to my Midnight Movie Special. Tonight we're going to be talking about Roman Polanski's first movie made within the American Hollywood studio system, Rosemary's Baby. So this is my first time watching the film, and that's kind of a surprise for me because I typically love these types of movies made in the 70s, and for some reason this one had just kind of escaped me, and maybe I was kind of off-put to it because it was a horror film, and I'm not typically that interested in horror films, but I'm really glad I watched this because it's not a horror film. It's more like a psychological thriller, but even then I don't really feel comfortable calling it that because it's just a cool movie. And Roman Polanski is becoming one of my favorite directors lately. I think the casting in this film was just phenomenal. You have Mia Farrow, you have John Cassavetes, but then you have Ruth Gordon, who, you know, if you've seen Harold and Maude and you love that film, I mean, you're gonna love her in this role. She just has something like, yes, it's comedic relief, but at the same time, she's got something working under the surface there that is just really fun to watch. So that was a good treat. I mean, I really didn't know much going into it. I didn't know she was in it. So talking about characters, this leads me to my next topic, which is that the building itself is a character. And the opening shot of the film will tell you everything you need to know about it. And I am a big believer in the opening of a film being an incredibly crucial moment to not only grab the audience's attention, but to really convey what is this all about. I did read this booklet that came with the film, and I have to say it's not bad. It's you know, I've from the Criterion booklets I had read, I like the other ones better, but inside here, you know, you have an essay by Ed Park, and there's a few good, you know, topics in there that he brings up that are interesting and I hadn't really thought about yet. So that's cool, but for the most part, it is kind of a summary of the film, and it's like if you just watch the film and you go through and read this, it's kind of like you're reading a summary most of the part, but I'm not going to discourage anybody from reading it because he does bring up some very interesting points. So, and yeah, there's just other cool stuff in here, like a layout of the apartment that Ira Levin, the author of the book, mapped out himself, which is a cool little treat. So yeah, I recommend reading this if you want. The main bonus feature I want to talk about is the documentary. This is such a good doc, especially if you're interested in the making of films, and especially if you're interested, like I am, in movies from this era. You're gonna like this doc because they interview Robert Evans, who, hey baby, come on, Robert Evans, you know, he's like that classic sleazy, schlucky Hollywood producer, but he's much more than that. I mean, the dude is an artist in his own right, and he backed a lot of great films during this era, and it's just, I mean, I'm always going to jump at the chance to hear him talk about movies, so he's a big part of the documentary, but you know what? So is Roman Polanski. It's really fun to hear Roman Polanski talk about directing actors and working with, you know, complicated actors, which was a big shock to me to learn that John Cassavetes was kind of a pain in the ass on this film, but it makes sense when you think about they're two directors with totally different sensibilities, but you don't see it on the screen. I mean, the performances are great, especially Mia Farrow. I mean, what she does physically in the film is one thing, to bring that level of innocence, but also fear and paranoia and everything into the role. Honestly, I haven't seen too many films with her in it, but after watching this, I want to watch more of her work, so that says a lot. But one thing I've been paying a lot of attention to in films is gestures, like that actors give, and this is a good film for that. There's some really interesting, you know, kind of hunching and fright, and it's just a very well done film in the sense of the movement of the actors, the blocking of the actors. You know, how do you show if somebody's angry? How do you show if somebody's lying? How do you show if somebody's, you know, got something up their sleeve? You know, it's just very interesting to see how you can express these things physically, and this is a great film for studying that. Having said that, I guess one thing I'm going to probably be doing when I talk about these movies is kind of bringing a little bit of a filmmaker's kind of eye to it, which I hope is interesting for y'all. because that's just what I see when I see a movie like this. I look at these things, I look at, the lighting, I look at the blocking, I look at the camera movements, I look at the shot design, and that to me all kind of adds up to what I get out of the film. And I will say this, if you are watching this film from that kind of perspective, from a shot design kind of perspective, the payoff at the end is so good. It is just, there is such a cool shot at the end of this film, and it's iconic, and I don't even know why. I've never even seen it, but when you see it, you're just like, this is iconic, this is iconic, this is iconic, and it is. So yeah, hopefully that gets you jazzed about seeing this movie if you haven't, and if you have seen this movie and you like it, hopefully you share this feeling with that I do. Let me know, because I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about these things, and I'm interested if this level of interpretation is intriguing to you. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. This is something a little different I'm trying here. It's called Midnight Movies, and basically we just watch a movie together, whether you've seen it or whether you haven't seen it. Hopefully I can convince you to go out and watch a movie and just spread the love, the Criterion love. But thank you all for tuning in, and stay tuned for the next one. Looking at the edit here, I realized that I came off sounding like I don't like horror films, and that really wasn't my intention. It's just a genre I haven't really engaged with that much. So if you want to leave some recommendations down in the comments below of some cool Criterion horror films that you think I might like, please feel free to do so, or any genre for that matter. I'm just starting out my collection, and the goal here is to watch as many Criterions as I can and hopefully talk about them with you guys. So I really appreciate y'all tuning in, and thank you.